All right, so we have ourselves the flow chart. Now what we want to do is code it. I'm going to use the idle client Python interface for this. And then I'm also going to do this in Python anywhere. we're gonna go a little bit beyond the other option. If you guys remember, there was sort of a few options here. We had, where is it? Where are the IDEs here? Python IDE. So you can get Python, there's the cloud, and then there's the Python anywhere. So I've already taken and installed Python idle on my laptop. I think most of you probably have been able to get that done. If you can't, don't worry, because I'm also going to be showing how to do this in the cloud environment as well. So we'd click on the start, go to idle, the idle IDE, and there it is right there. Now, can I make that bigger too? I can't quite remember how to make it bigger. So maybe for the next lecture, I might try to get that done, because I think it's been a while. There it is. All right, perfect. Good. Much happier now. There it is. Okay. So at this point, what you guys did already is you did a print statement. You went print and you basically did some kind of hello world or hello with my name and all that kind of stuff. So there's a hello world. That's awesome, right? And it printed hello world back. It's a great little dialogue. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, the next thing, though, what we want to do is we want to actually create a program, and we want to create a program that follows this algorithm. So what I'm going to do is go back to Python here. I could type all the steps here, but this isn't really a program. This is me saying something to Python and having it echo it back. So I basically said, hey, Python, print hello world, and then it spat it back. So if I wanted to do this fabulous program and it was going to be all print statements, which is what it's going to be, I'd have to go print get slice of wheat bread, hit enter, and it would come back. Print put bread in toaster, hit enter, it would come back. I don't want this to be interactive. I want to have a list of things to do and have it do it all basically together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, New, and this looks almost like Notepad. Let me try and see if I can get this on the same thing. Okay, almost like Notepad. One thing you'll notice, though, is that it's got a run button. And that means that the run could actually do something. So if I go here, print hello world, right? I can run this. You can't do that in Notepad, right? A lot of students, when they first kind of encounter this, they kind of think, hey, man, isn't this just Notepad? It's not Notepad. You got File, Edit, Format, View, Help. It's got this run. That's kind of very important. All right. So how would you run this thing? Well, if I want File, Run, and of course, for those of you that like steps, you can go F5. So I go File, Run. It's going to say you have to save the program first. You have to save the program first. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go, okay, sounds good to me. I'm going to save it. It's going to want to save it deep into your Python directory. You might not be able to find it. So what I'm probably going to do is I have off the desktop an FOP, and I'm just going to save it right now under my root here. I'm just going to save this thing as example program. Okay. I don't need to put an extension on it. I don't need to put an extension on it. I'm going to go save. And notice what I did there is it ran it. And notice what it looks like. There it is in my desktop. And there's the name of the program that I typed in. And then it put a .py after it. It basically made a little tiny Python program. And if I was to go out and have a look at my directory, this is what it looks like. Example program. It doesn't look like a notepad. It looks like an idle. And I can, if I double click on it, this is going to be very disappointing and you might not even see it because it might open on my second monitor. Yeah, it just kind of blinks into existence because it really just, if you want to imagine what this would look like as a graph here, start, printed, and then ended, and it's out, right? So, so there you go. I just wanted to get that out of the way. So this is for you idle folks, which again, traditionally, a lot of you guys have been in the past. So now what I want to do is I want to code this. right? I want to actually take this algorithm and code it. We don't have to code the beginning and the end. That happens automatically. What we want to do is we want to basically do this as a bunch of print statements. So here, this is going to print get bread. All right. And again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with copying and pasting here once you're tired. So you can just, there's what, a few steps there, right? Put bread in toaster, push, wait, and then get toast. So this will be put bread, push, wait, and then get toast. Okay. So I tell you what, let's go down here and make this guy get toast, toast. And then this will be put bread in toaster. Nice. All right, and this will be push toaster lever. And this will be wait for toast to pop up. And then get toast. All right, let's see what those changes did. I'm going to go run, and I'm going to go run the module. It's going to say, do you want to save? Yes, I probably do. I go save, and whoop, there is the output for that, right? Pretty awesome. Now, the one other thing we want to do, though, is we want to put a comment in the top of this. And this is what you'll see in the textbook example on page, I'm not even sure what page it is, page 17. On page 17, what you'll see is, hey, what the heck is that? Right? So getting back to my example, in idle, we're actually seeing a little bit of color coding going on here, which is, again, something you don't see in Notepad, right? It seems to take these things that are basically just being printed out to the screen and make them green. And then print seems to be like command, which basically means print to the screen, which is what this did, right? Some of you have already got programming experience, and you're probably watching me twitch and go crazy because I'm trying to figure out how to introduce this particular topic, but I'm going to tell you right now that this is called a string. And we'll talk much more about strings later. Strings can be, by the way, in single quotes or double quotes. It makes no difference as long as they match. So there's a single quote, there's a double quote. I'm going to go run, I'm going to go, and you'll see it had no problem, right? I think personally, I'm a big fan of the double quotes here to indicate it's a string, but it doesn't matter. That's just because I've come from other languages. So Python allows you to basically do single quotes or double quotes for a string. So a string is a collection of characters. And as we move forward in this language, you'll see there's some really interesting things that can happen with strings. What is print? Well, I've been calling it a command. It's not so much a command, it's a function. And a function, which we definitely talk about later, you'll be making your own function soon, but a function is basically, it takes input, does something, and then usually puts input out. And by the way, you should say a function doesn't necessarily always have to take input, but it definitely returns something. And so notice that this function, the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment, insists on making it purple. Great. Now watch what happens if I decide that I'm going to make this an uppercase P. Notice how the color might not be as obvious, but the color is black now, almost like Notepad. That's what it's basically saying at this point, is that this is no longer recognizing this as the function print. This is now something different. And if I actually tried to run it, we're likely going to see errors. And I'll talk about errors later. I will be talking about errors later, but right now, hopefully you're relatively error-free. So that means Python is case sensitive. Okay, it's case sensitive. So it matters whether it's an uppercase or lowercase. All right. Now, one other thing is sometimes we want to put into our algorithms or into our programs a comment for people reading the program to get some kind of indicator as to what this thing's supposed to do. So I'm going to basically say a program on how to make toast. And it is generally considered good form to put your name after it. All right, that is generally considered good form. Comments in this language are indicated by the hash symbol. And notice again, now we've got a new color, red. So what does that do to the program? Absolutely nothing. The program basically, saying the program, the thing that runs this, which we'll be talking about later, when it looks at it, it basically says, I don't really care what's in red. It ignores the red and then basically goes along and does each of these commands one after another. So even this fairly simple little program, we've got a few neat ideas. We have the idea of the sequence, of the string, sorry. We have the idea of the string. We have the idea of a function that basically takes input and then returns it to the screen. That's how I think about that. We have the idea of case sensitivity being important. And we have the idea of the comments. And the last idea of this is what kind of algorithm is this? This is basically a sequence. It's a sequence of events. It's when, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It is the simplest type of algorithm out there. And honestly, most algorithms are going to be a combination of different things. But this basically is a sequence. And so now, hopefully, when you look at this particular section of the book, you'll kind of say, okay, this makes sense. Notice Sam is talking about this being a sequential algorithm. This is a sequence. Do this, do this, do this, where all he did is he took the pseudocode and printed it to the screen, right? Notice that he saved it as wheattoast.py. If you're saving it in idle, you don't need to go .py. It'll assume that it's going to be .py. And that's it for that part. Now, one thing one thing I don't like about idle, let me just, full confession here. One thing I don't necessarily like about idle is that if I said to you, hey, there's an error, like right here, for example, does it say here? Error in line 2. And you're going to think, well, what's line 2? Well, because you guys are probably smart, you're going to start going 1, 2, right? That's probably what you're going to do. But there's better ways to do this, right? And so what I'm going to do is, I don't know, how far along are we now today on this thing? I can't tell the time, but just to make the video a bit longer, I am going to go and show this thing in Python Anywhere. So Python Anywhere is another interface. Now, I've logged on so it remembers my cookies. This is the one that I don't know where it would say who I am. No, well, there it is. I just logged out anyway. All right, so if I log out, and I think it's G Spencer HTC, and if I have been consistent with my passwords, then how about that? I haven't confirmed, so you're mad at me. And this is what I'm going to start to regret this. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the other one for a second. I definitely have this guy out here. And if this ends up becoming a problem, then I'm going to pause the video and figure out how to log in. All right, there you go. Good deal. So I'll figure out what happened to the other account in a few minutes. But what I wanted to show you here is that I can basically go ahead and browse my files here. I'm going to create a new directory for this one, which I'm going to call chapter 2. Later on, I might rethink this, but I'm going to create a thing called chapter 2. And in chapter 2, I'm going to create a program, which I'm going to name, in this case, X2A. And this one, I do have to go .py to indicate it's a Python file. Later on, you'll see that there's other things. I could, by the way, have always uploaded the file too. And that probably would have been the preferred way to do it. But anyway, for now, let me just show this off. I'm going to go new file. I got line numbers. That's awesome. So if I'm going to go here, I'm going to go copy and paste. Now I got a bunch of line numbers. And what's really cool about this, in my browser, without having to have installed anything, I can run it. Watch what happens when I run this. It brings up its own little console and runs the actual output. Now, if I had made that mistake earlier with the P, I have an uppercase P. Again, the color coding, it's slightly different colors, but it's, you know, it's okay. Notice, like, for example, comments aren't red anymore. Apparently they're green. But now if I run this, boom, we get an error in line 2. And we even get a little thing popping up here saying, hey, just so you know, there's an error there. And you will be able to understand all these errors a lot easier soon. But notice this error here, name print not defined. If I bring this up here, it's saying undefined name print. So it's pretty consistent. And so what I can do here is I can go make that back to being a lowercase. I can run that again and have that pop up. So for instruction purposes, a lot of these programs I'd really like to do in Python Anywhere. I'm a little nervous about it because a lot of these examples are using idle. So, you know, and again, it is a reasonable critique. Some students go, hey, wait a minute, you're confusing me. And I'm trying not to confuse you, but I'm also trying to teach you guys how to program at the same time. And so I don't necessarily get caught on the limits of some of the technology. So anyway, that's about it then for our fabulous program of Making Toast 2A. When we return our heroes, we're going to actually add a little bit more to that particular program. So that'll be exciting. And so that'll be the next video.